Welcome, deep divers. So glad to have you with us today as we plunge into a really fascinating topic.
Definitely looking forward to this one.
We're going to be talking about the 2009 film Jennifer's Body. You know, the one with Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried.
Right.
And this movie, it had a really unexpected journey. I mean, when it first came out, big box office disappointment, lots of criticism.
Yeah, it kind of bombed initially.
But fast forward like 10 years or so, and suddenly it's being completely reevaluated. People see it now as this like powerful feminist cult classic.
It's quite the turnaround.
It really is. Quite the transformation, wouldn't you say?
It absolutely is. And well, that transformation is pretty much our mission for this deep dive. We're going to try and dissect the film's nuanced exploration of what some people call monstrous femininity.
Okay.
And sort of in parallel, we'll look at how its themes, maybe surprisingly, reflect the real life struggles and, a public narrative of its star, Megan Fox, navigating Hollywood.
Right, the whole Hollywood machine. Okay, so let's unpack this. We're talking about a film and a star, both kind of misunderstood, typecast, and then in this striking twist, sort of vindicated.
In a way, yeah. A reevaluation, definitely.
Get ready, because we're about to uncover some, I think, really fascinating parallels and hopefully deliver some meaningful insights into how we see women, both on screen and off.
Let's dive in.
So let's start with the curious case of Jennifer's Body's initial reception. Back in 2009, the marketing was huge, right?
Oh yeah, huge part of the story. The studio really capitalized on Megan Fox's emerging sex symbol status. She was fresh off Transformers.
Exactly. Posters, trailers. I remember the tagline, "The girl every guy would die for." It felt very much aimed at, young guys.
Totally. That was the clear target. But, despite that heavy marketing push, the film was a commercial flop.
Right, the numbers weren't great.
Not at all. Only grossed about $31.6 million worldwide, and the budget was $16 million, so not a success. And a lot of critics, particularly male reviewers, they sort of dismissed it. They felt it didn't deliver on those, male fantasies.
I remember reading some of that. Comments like, the girls keep their clothes on.
Yeah.
Or it just wasn't sexy enough for them.
Yeah, pretty blunt stuff. It completely missed the mark for the audience the marketing was targeting anyway.
Which is astonishing because it was so misaligned with what the director, Karen Kusama, actually intended.
Exactly. She's spoken about how painful that was, seeing the marketing. Her vision and Diablo Cody's script, it was meant for young women the same age as the main characters.
So a completely different audience.
Completely. They wanted to speak to teenage girls, really. So yeah, the studio kind of fumbled who the film was for right from the start.
Wow.
Precisely. And what's really fascinating here is how that initial misfire, that misunderstanding, eventually led to its reevaluation years later.
Yeah, the 10-year gap.
Right. Around then, Jennifer's Body started being widely reinterpreted as, a feminist story. Suddenly, Megan Fox's character is seen as a feminist revenge hero.
Especially with the rise of the #MeToo movement, right? People saw it differently.
Exactly. That context was crucial. The film started getting praise for addressing themes like abuse, empowerment, accountability, stuff totally overlooked back in 2009.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other films or pieces of art get dismissed only to become super relevant later on?
It's a great point. Cultural shifts change everything.
Absolutely. Now, to really get into Jennifer's Body's power, maybe we should touch on some of those ideas around monstrous femininity you mentioned. It seems key to understanding what the film is doing.
Yeah, it provides a useful lens. So in horror, the monster often represents society's other, right? Something outside the norm, maybe something we're both drawn to and repulsed by.
Okay, the other. Like things we don't understand or that challenge norms.
Exactly. And thinkers like Julia Kristeva talk about the abject things that threaten our sense of self because they defy order or inclusion. Historically, femaleness itself has sometimes been linked to the irrational, the hysterical. Something seen as needing control in contrast to a supposedly ordered, male-dominated society.
So the feminine as inherently disruptive or chaotic in that old view.
Kind of, yeah. And Barbara Creed builds on this with the monstrous feminine in horror. It often reflects male anxieties and desires about women. Think about powerful sexual women in horror. They challenge ideas of proper femininity. They can be threatening, but they also gain power, subjectivity, undermining those patriarchal rules.
Interesting. So the monster isn't just scary, she's powerful, maybe even reclaiming something.
Potentially, yes. And then you have figures like the Rape Avenger, which Carol Clover wrote about. This archetype, really prominent since the mid-70s, shows a woman transformed by trauma, usually sexual violence, into a killer.
Like I Spit on Your Grave, or even more recently, Promising Young Woman.
Exactly those kinds of films. There's often ambiguity, though. She gains strength, agency, but might still be presented as a sexualized object, even in her revenge.
That's complicated.
Very. And in the 90s and 2000s, you get the monstrous teenage girl. Think Ginger Snaps, where menstruation is linked to becoming a werewolf, or Teeth with the whole vagina dentata thing. These films often portray sexual maturation itself as being dangerous, painful.
Right. Adolescence is horror.
Pretty much. And often these girls are desirable, but also blamed for their own objectification. Then there's the layer of irony, like in Scream or Cabin in the Woods. These films use camp aesthetics. They knowingly play with horror tropes to expose patriarchal ideas.
But sometimes in doing that, they still end up reinforcing the cliches, maybe.
That's the risk, yeah. It can be ambiguous. So with all that in mind, let's look at Jennifer's body again.
Okay, let's start with that ritual scene, the male violence aspect. It's presented with this weirdly humorous, almost campy tone, isn't it?
It really is. You have this indie band, desperate for fame, trying to sacrifice Jennifer. And the immediate irony is the ritual kind of backfires because they assume she's a virgin and
She's not.
She's not. And the whole thing is shown through her flashback, narrated with this detached, almost sarcastic voiceover by Jennifer.
Yeah, and the band members? His difference is just staggering. They're joking about Maroon 5, calling the knife a hot murder weapon.
It's chilling. It makes male ambitions seem so trivial, so callous about the suffering it causes women. That casual bro culture, like you said, laid bare.
It really dehumanizes her.
Completely. And then they play that song, Jenny, 867-5309.
Her Tommy Two-Tone.
Right. That song about a guy obsessing over some random woman's number, played over Jennifer's screams as she's being stabbed. It's like a direct commentary on how women get objectified, exploited for male art, male success.
They literally only see her as a body, a tool for the ritual. They only ask her name because the magic spell needs it.
Exactly. It fits right into that history of men using women's bodies in film, like Rosemary's Baby or something. And the violence itself, it feels like a metaphorical rape, right? It transforms her into the monster, the avenger.
So the ritual makes her a literal monster. But you were saying earlier, her monstrosity maybe existed before that.
Yeah.
Tied to societal pressures.
Yeah, I think that's key. Her monstrosity isn't just supernatural. She already embodies a kind of monstrousness that comes from those intense patriarchal pressures on teenage girls. Be thin, be hot, be desirable, but not too desirable.
Right, the impossible tightrope.
Totally. And even before the demon thing, she kind of treats guys as things to be consumed. Remember that line about wanting to try a sea cucumber? Talking about exchange student?
Yeah, like he's an exotic dish.
Exactly. Predatory, even then. And then post-ritual, as a literal demon, she has to actually feed on boys to keep looking good.
That line to Needy is killer. My skin is breaking out and my hair is dull and lifeless. It's like I'm one of the normal girls.
It's so on the nose, isn't it? It's like this extreme version of the modern pressure for physical perfection, this monstrous drive to meet an impossible standard.
So her sexuality becomes her weapon.
Her main weapon, yeah. But even when she's the predator, the film still uses the male gaze, right? Slow motion shots of her walking, focusing on her body.
True. So the film is kind of exaggerating that objectification to critique it, but maybe also indulging in it a little.
That's the paradox, exactly, that ambiguity again. She also fits that bitch archetype, doesn't she? Like Regina George in Mean Girls. Using hyper-femininity to manipulate, to get ahead in the system. Very individualistic.
Yeah, totally. And her monstrosity feels like a mashup of horror tropes. She's part succubus, part possessed girl. There's the lesbian vampire hints.
And the creepy mouth thing, hinting at vagina dentata. And when she vomits blood, that's pure abject, right? That visceral horror of the body doing something boundary crossing, something repellent.
Oh, yeah. And she even calls out the media's role directly. That line, PMS was invented by the boy-run media to make us seem crazy.
Such a sharp moment, directly critiquing how female bodies and emotions get framed as inherently monstrous or irrational by, well, a male-dominated media. Pretty self-aware for a teen horror flick.
It really is. But the film isn't just about Jennifer's monstrosity, is it? It digs into the female relationships, too, how competition between girls can also be monstrous.
Oh, definitely. And we see that right from the start with Needy's framing of the story.
Yeah, the movie opens with her, right? In jail or a psych ward, attacking someone.
Exactly. She described herself as violent, monstrous, blaming teenage hormones. And that opening flashback is clever. It makes you think Needy is the slasher watching Jennifer, but then flips it.
It's a neat subversion. And visually, they're opposites. Jennifer's the hot cheerleader, the object of everyone's gaze. Needy's the dork in glasses, always watching.
Total contrast. But there's that intense connection, too, that homoerotic undercurrent. The kiss scene, Jennifer saying, I go both ways.
That bisexuality, it adds another layer of ambiguity, maybe. A threat to neat categories.
Could be seen that way, yeah. But the core of their dynamic is pretty toxic, isn't it? Jennifer constantly manipulates Needy, emotional blackmail, like that boo, cross out Needy bit.
Yeah, very mean girls. And controlling her appearance, too, couldn't upstage her.
Right. It's like this internal surveillance system among girls, sometimes called the gyneopticon, competing for male attention, policing each other's femininity.
And that rivalry, fueled by Jennifer's jealousy, leads directly to Chip's death.
Yeah.
It shows how pitting women against each other serves the patriarchal system, maybe. Makes them monstrous to each other.
I think so. But then you get that twist at the end. Needy gets infected with the same demonic power.
And she avenges Jennifer by killing the band.
Exactly. So now both are monstrous. That initial good girl, bad girl dichotomy just dissolves. Maybe the film's saying, in this kind of society, there's no winning way to be a teenage girl. You're pushed towards competition, toward monstrosity, one way or another.
Wow, that's a pretty bleak but powerful message.
It is. And what's truly, mind-blowing is how these themes, objectification, being labeled monstrous, fighting the system, echo so strongly in Megan Fox's actual life story.
Yeah, the parallels are kind of uncanny, aren't they? Let's talk about that. Her rise was super fast after Transformers.
Incredibly fast. But she was almost instantly locked into that hypersexualized love interest box, that objectified role.
And those early audition stories.
Yeah.
The Bad Boy's the second one. Dancing under a waterfall in a bikini at 15.
Yeah. I mean, she later clarified that specific instance wasn't, in her words, assault by Michael Bay, but she did stress she had genuinely harrowing experiences in a ruthlessly misogynistic industry. It definitely set a tone.
And the Transformers audition, working on Bay's Ferrari while crew watched. She made clear she wasn't undressed, but still, the optics.
Right. It's all about being looked at, being used visually right from the beginning, which makes her speaking out later even more significant.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the 2009 Wonderland interview, that Hitler on set comment about Michael Bay.
Whoa, yeah, that caused a huge backlash. Calling him a nightmare, even while adding he was awkward and endearing offset. It was seen as biting the hand that fed her, defying the power structure.
Basically becoming the difficult woman. The monstrous woman in their eyes.
Pretty much, and the fallout was immediate. Reportedly fired from the third Transformers. Steven Spielberg, an executive producer, apparently really objected to the Hitler comparison.
And she refused to apologize.
Yeah.
Said she felt like Joan of Arc.
Yeah, she stood her ground. But then came that alleged Prue letter.
Ugh, that was nasty. Calling her dumb as a rock, Miss Sourpants, suggesting she become a porn star.
Horrible stuff. It totally cemented that difficult reputation, even though Bay later distanced himself from the letter. Her career definitely took a hit after that. It's like the system punishing the woman who speaks out, who refuses to just be the object.
Just like the themes in Jennifer's Body, really. Objectification leading to punishment if you step out of line.
Exactly. And then came the box office flops. Jonah Hex, Passion Play.
Yeah, tough run. And that weird A Day Without Megan Fox media campaign in 2009. Like media fatigue with her image.
Seems like it. Overexposure, maybe. And she talked openly about her frustration, being typecast based on looks, getting roles like nag, trophy, escort, interesting stripper.
And winning Razzies, too. Just reinforcing that idea that she was only about her looks.
Yeah, it was a rough period professionally.
And personally, too, it sounds like. She's been really open about struggles with an eating disorder, depression, linking it to childhood trauma.
Incredibly candid. And she even connected that inner turmoil, that nasty streak, to her performance in Jennifer's Body, seeing parts of her own struggle in the character.
Wow, that's deep.
And she called out the archaic slut-shaming, mom-shaming she faced, so the media scrutiny led to a genuine psychological breakdown.
It's brutal, the level of scrutiny, especially around her appearance, the plastic surgery talk.
Yeah, she's admitted to procedures, nose jobs, breast augmentations, Botox, fillers, but she framed it almost as a necessity in Hollywood to get ahead, alongside her own body dysmorphia issues. It speaks volumes about industry pressures.
It really does. But then, things started to shift, didn't they? with the hashtag #MeToo movement gaining traction.
Absolutely. It felt like a vindication for her for speaking out years earlier. People started looking back differently, hence the Megan Fox Renaissance.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it.
And she's talked about feeling a resurrection herself, had some kind of epiphany on the set of Rogue in 2020.
Led her to make big life changes, divorce, new career focus.
Seems so. Deciding not to live in fear, actively seeking different kinds of roles, it mirrors the film's own resurrection in a way.
We have seen her in different stuff lately. Sci-fi like Subservience, but also those comedic roles. New Girl, This Is 40, showing more range.
Definitely. She seems more confident, more in control of her narrative, focusing on her comeback, embracing motherhood again.
And the audience reaction has shifted too, hasn't it?
Yeah.
More appreciation for her resilience and the whole LGBTQ plus bicon embrace.
Yeah, celebrating her openness. It's a real turnaround. A revaluation of a woman who was, for a long time, just dismissed or objectified, much like the film she starred in.
What an incredible journey, really, for both Jennifer's Body and for Megan Fox. We sort of trace these amazing parallels, how both narratives really dig into the complexities of being female in a society that tries to box you in, misunderstood, reevaluated. Their stories really do echo each other. Resilience, transformation, it's all there.
It really is. And what's so fascinating, I think, is how both the film and Megan Fox's life show that women can be like victims of these controlling systems, but also defiant against them simultaneously, which then raises that tricky question about subversion, you know? Like sometimes, even when you're trying to expose something problematic,
You end up participating in it anyway.
exactly, you might still get caught up in the dynamics you're trying to critique. The mirror reflects both the system and maybe our own part in it.
That's a heavy thought. So, for everyone listening, what does this all mean for you? As we watch movies, as we follow celebrities, what role do we play? Are we perpetuating these narratives about women, or are we challenging them? How do we shape the way women are seen?
Definitely something to chew on.